16 days of madness. Some 6.5 million people travel to Munich Oktoberfest every year, and they all head for the beer tents. But they're often closed due to overcrowding.
The best excuses are always, I left my bag in there, my jacket's inside, my friends are in there, my mother, my father.
The Wiesn, as it's commonly known, is the biggest festival in the world. If you can't have fun here, you only have yourself to blame.
Every day some jackass stumbles around the Wiesn and always comes to us.
The hotels hand out armbands so their guests don't get lost when they're drunk.
Last week I had an Australian who was brought back here by ambulance twice on the same day. He only managed that because he had this red armband.
The high society let it all hang out here as well. For sports and showbiz celebrities, the Wiesn is an absolute must.
You meet all the celebrities here, A-list to F-list.
And the Lost and Found office makes some surprising discoveries too.
The most spectacular thing for me is this iron chain with this ball on the end.
24 hours before opening time, on the Theresienwiese in the center of Munich, the showmen are getting ready for 6.5 million visitors. Hans Goergens, technical manager of the biggest roller coaster, checks the setup one last time.
I want to get started, but you're always a bit nervous. Have you checked everything? There'll be people in there. That's really important to us.
On a 5-loop roller coaster, nothing should go wrong.
You'll need to get away from the track. We're doing a run now, a test run. Put cables, machines to one side, so there's nothing on the track when we do the test run.
Over the next 16 days, over 50,000 passengers are expected to hurtle down this dizzying ride.
So let's see if it all works properly.
Yes, let's see, and then we'll know. That's also the motto of Wiesn job agent Josef Mate. He has over 4,000 people on file who are interested in doing one of the 13,000 Oktoberfest jobs.
On the barbecues, it has to be a young guy with a bit of experience. And if you need someone for street sales, the girls just have to be pretty, young, and cute. I know roughly what's needed, and it's not really about whether someone's a trained waiter or a trained cook or whatever. It's all about working in a team, and that's the real core of my entire work. What's your name? Ciela? Ciala. Ah, Ciala. Okay, now I've got it. Okay, so let's just walk a few meters to the stall. So when you work at the Oktoberfest for the first time, a job at a stall for a bit less money is a good introduction. So then when you come to me next year and say you did 16 days on a stall last year, then the chances of getting a better paid job next year are really very high. And that's important. And with a bit of luck, we'll have a job for you too as well. And then everything's perfect.
Mate wants to put Tunisian student Ciala on a dart stall. But first, he has to learn the basics. The boss shows how it's done. In this job, dexterity is needed. After a brief demonstration, it's Ciala's turn to man the pump. No problem at all. He's passed the recruitment test. Welcome to the dart stall.
At such short notice, it can only be spontaneous. They see each other, the chemistry's right. Okay, give it a try and it works out.
One day before the world's biggest festival opens, the beer tents, each with a capacity of up to 10,000 people, still look very quiet. Appearances, however, are deceptive.
Today is one of our most strenuous days, of course, because over 250 service staff have to be taken on. Security staff given their instructions. The kitchen needs to start the preparation, and everything has to work. So today is really the most important day ahead of the Wiesn.
Some 500 professional chefs start to work in the beer tents today, supported by an army of helpers. Starting tomorrow, they'll have to cater for around 400,000 people, and they're really looking forward to it.
No problem. It's a lot of fun every year.
About 3,000 waiters and waitresses are also hired for the beer tents today, many of them students who'll be able to finance their next semester over these 16 days.
We usually sit at desks and don't carry beer. I'm quite nervous. It's our first time, and I've had butterflies for days.
With this wallet, you can even cash up customers in the dark.
You just tap here, and it lights up for 6 seconds. And 6 seconds later, it switches itself off again.
And just in case things get a little rough, 2,000 security staff can always intervene to prevent the worst from happening. For the security team, it's just routine.
We try to keep fights to a minimum and no one totally drunk. And that's what's most important, okay?
Whatever happens, the tent landlords are preparing for the consumption of some 7 million liters of Wiesn beer. 24 hours later, like every year, the Oktoberfest begins with the traditional procession of the Wiesn landlords. At 12 noon sharp, the first so-called Mass is tapped, and the festival is launched by the famous saying, O zapft es. Marianne Setta is here as a waitress for the 14th time. The 33-year-old language student comes from Norway. Here in the Hofbräu tent, her customers, besides Germans, are mainly American, Australian, or Italian.
Okay, so everybody who wants a beer, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Her foreign language skills are a great help.
Spanish? Of course, we can speak Spanish too. Great, have fun. Thanks, see you later. It's important to speak a lot of languages. Spanish, Italian, German too, of course. Norwegian, and obviously English. That's the most important here.
As a waitress, she has no fixed hourly rate. Her wages are based purely on how much Marianne sells.
We earn about 60 cents for each beer. And then there are tips, of course. We have to talk to people and joke with them. Then we get more tips. And we have to work a lot, that's for sure.
Service staff at the Oktoberfest earn between 4,000 and 10,000 euros over the 16 days. Constantly being touched by drunks is something Marianne tries to take lightly.
If I get angry, I take a break and my colleagues work for me. It's better that way, because the people are drunk and there's nothing we can do about it.
Except walk away. Over the entire festival period, most service staff do more than 5 marathons, and that's just in the beer tent.
It's really hard, of course. We work 15 hours. After work, I go home, get some sleep, and then go back to work again. That's the way it is.
But after the Wiesn, Marianne is on a sound financial footing again, thanks to the beer. Behind the beer tents is a somewhat notorious area, the so-called Kotzhügel, Puker's Hill. Here, the hopelessly drunk sleep it off. Others do their private business in public, to the general amusement of onlookers. To guarantee safety at all times, beer tents often have to close when they're overcrowded. Head of the security team, Fabio Innocente, then really has his hands full.
Can a patrol come slowly to the main entrance, East 3, please? Slowly to main entrance, East 3, please.
Fabio's team is made up of hard men, karate fighters, boxers, trained bouncers. They now have to turn away thousands trying to get in. Not an easy task.
The best and most common excuses are always, I've left my bag in there. My jacket's inside. My friends are in there. My mother, my father. The whole family's flown here from Australia for 50,000 euros. They're the usual excuses. Always that somebody's inside and they've always forgotten something. 100 times a day, probably more. I've stopped counting. It's always the same.
One of their most important jobs in the marquees is to keep the revelers off the tables. Standing on the benches is okay. On the table is not. Collapsing outside the toilets is not greatly appreciated either.
Innocente here, Operations Chief Hofbräu-Tent. I've got someone lying here, very drunk and unresponsive at entrance South 3. South 3 Hofbräu-Tent.
Innocente is also unimpressed by people deliberately missing the toilet.
Do you have to do that?
Okay, I've finished. Sorry.
Great.
Come on, man, it's the Wiesn. We're all drunk.
Yeah, I know, but there's a huge toilet.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, the queue's so long.
So you'll have to wait a bit then, won't you?
Hey, I was bursting. Sorry.
Yeah, all right. No, I'm not shaking your hand. No. Forget it. Go on. It's okay.
There's plenty going on all night. An Australian's bleeding after a beer glass fight with some Americans. And an Italian is not being allowed back into the tent to his friends after allegedly causing trouble.
Hey, calm down. That's it for you today.
Why?
You're finished. You're finished.
But why?
Because it is. He says that's it, so now get out of here.
Please. I'm on my own. Three people push me away.
Hey, I don't care. He didn't want to understand. I'm Italian myself, but blah, blah, blah. That's just typical for weekends here, and today's only Thursday. So it can only get worse. We'll have a great time.
The later the evening, the more extreme things get.
I'm at entrance 6. Suspicion of drugs. Let's have a look at what's going on, okay?
One of the security team has caught a man smoking a joint. Any amount of alcohol is allowed at the Wiesn, but other drugs are banned.
Can I search you? You're under suspicion of carrying drugs? Come on, have you got anything on you?
What?
What's that then?
Just a bit of weed.
Bit of weed?
A bit of weed.
That's not good. Got anything else?
No, not really, no.
Right, I'm gonna have to report this, okay? Great work. Let's call the cops. You were trying to sell it to people outside.
No, I wasn't.
I saw you. We'll let the police sort it out. Keep hold of him, I'll call the police, and then we'll see what happens. Got any more?
No, I haven't.
You gonna let me search you?
I've got 2 rolled joints, that's all.
Have you got anything else? Cocaine, amphetamines?
No, it's for God's sakes, I haven't.
All right. I'll call the police now.
With drug offenses, Fabio Innocente always has to call the police and report the offense. But the big question is the man alone, or are there more of them in the tent?
Look, honestly, the grass is just for me.
You with friends who've got drugs?
No, definitely not. Look, can we keep the police out of this?
No, I'm afraid not. I've got to follow this up, sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta do it. Hey, hello, this is Innocente, security at the Hofbräu-Tent. I've just apprehended a young man in possession of drugs. Can you send someone along to the entrance Wilhelm 1 Hofbräu-Tent? Okay, thanks, bye.
Just a minute. Here's my ID.
Okay, just relax now. We've got your ID. Police are on their way, and they'll decide what happens next, okay? So, you with friends who've got drugs?
No, it was really just for me. Listen, I wasn't selling anything.
Didn't say you were. I was just asking if you're with friends who've got drugs, too.
No.
What'd you do it for anyway?
Whether I drink a beer or smoke a joint. In principle, it's the same thing.
No, beer's legal, your joint's illegal.
And that's the subtle difference. In Bavaria, a few grams of weed will still get you arrested.
Why'd you smoke it in the tent?
I didn't smoke in the tent.
Funny that the joint was under the table then. You can't smoke here in the tent.
I didn't smoke it in the tent.
Now listen up here, buddy. Listen.
I was smoking it outside and I just wanted to put it away in a box when you came.
Such is life. The police take the weed smoker off to the station, and he'll now face a fine.
Well, that's the end of his Oktoberfest.
In contrast to that, for the Bavarian festival barker Ludwig Wigel Kugler, this evening is when things really get going, and he'll now reveal exactly how.
I hope there are still a few good people there, not too many drunks. With too many drunks, it's no good, because I can't really say what can happen. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Ludwig's workplace has existed at the Wiesn for over 100 years. The Teufelsrad turntable, a real institution, anarchic, Bavarian, hilarious.
Everybody ready? Of course you are. Right, off we go. So all the ladies over 18. So there they are, each one prettier than the next. You can see what a dragon we've all got at home. Now everyone, clap along together. And away we go. So ladies, now it's time for a new hairstyle, a new face, and new nose and straight teeth.
To take care of all cosmetic corrections to the turntable guests, the Teufelrad has a medicine ball.
For me, the attraction is just to see how the people react to it. Because sometimes the things they say just come out so spontaneously. Whoopsie-daisy. He's fallen over his own feet. Every day some jackass stumbles around the Wiesn and always comes to us. Oh, he looks scary. So, referee, blow the whistle for the final round. It happened once, for example, that a boy stood up while the wheel was spinning, and I said to him, "Sit down, you fool." Then his father came and said, "My son's no fool." So I said, "Right, the biggest fool is probably you." And then he went home. That's what you call a pile of fools. If it's a bad audience, you take your 20 or 30 standard phrases and just reel them off.
But even they are not that bad.
Look out there, that's how it's done. Hula hoops are not for throwing, are they? But if you've got a good audience, it all comes out, like a geyser, bubbling up from inside and then out it comes. Tell me, are there any Prussians in here? A good tip for the Japanese is not to out themselves as Prussians voluntarily. That could have a negative effect on cultural life here in Bavaria. So, you're Japanese Prussians. Right, let's go. What about some Prussian music? Believe it or not, we've got that here as well. There go the Japanese. Yeah, I actually have an honest profession. It's not just talking nonsense. It's a job that allows you to talk nonsense to customers. I get 5 weeks holiday a year, and I take 4 weeks to do this. What's your job? What? Policeman? Senior officer, are you? Senior officers know all about sitting around all day. We're gonna keep going now till you throw up. That's it. Round of applause.
During the 2 Oktoberfest weeks, hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world flock to Munich. Only 10 minutes walk from the festival site is the hostel For You, mainly used by young backpackers.
Come from Australia and we've done a lot of Europe. To drink beer. To drink beer, yeah, and wear cool outfits.
Just have fun, drink beer.
They've booked this room with its 6 bunk beds through an Australian agency for a hefty €69 per person per night. But the Aussie girls are happy it's not a huge dormitory.
A room of 20 people maybe, lots of people. So it's good to have a smaller room.
The shared bathroom in the hall is included in the price. And there's free beer as a welcome gesture. Down in the bar, the first guests are preparing for the Wiesn. For $20, 2 New Zealanders managed to buy something Dirndl-like on the internet.
I think it's something that we both wanted to do for a very long time. It seems crazy. It seems fun, so why not? We had to get very super push-up bras to make our boobs look somewhat reasonable.
And these English gentlemen are also warming up for the Wiesn.
We love it so far, so we're waiting to go to tomorrow to go to the Oktoberfest.
We haven't seen it yet, you know, so we're really excited to get there.
We all got our lederhosens ready to go, and we're going to dress up and get involved and participate. So that's what we want as well, to meet the locals.
Get as pissed as possible. It's gonna be
Yeah.
So that guests can even find their way back when totally drunk, the hotel receptionist provides them all with red armbands.
For those who are really drunk, it's very good to have the address on the armband. We've often had taxi drivers turning up here with someone so drunk that they couldn't speak, and the taxi driver just asks, "Does he belong to you?" And the armband means we can't deny it, unfortunately, so we just take them in and try and find their room.
And that kind of thing happens regularly here. Some guests are even brought back in an ambulance.
Last week, I had an Australian who was brought back here by an ambulance twice on the same day. And he only managed that because he had this red armband, so it really helps.
By the way, vomiting in the hotel is forbidden. On Saturdays, there are lines of young people outside the beer tents from 5 in the morning.
We've been traveling since midnight on a bus, and we've come here to drink.
Waiting here for hours is the only way into one of the 16 beer tents without a reservation.
Freezing. We're dreaming of being in a hot place, but we know there's lots of good times to be had inside.
Many Munich locals, however, are not amused. This is far removed from a nice, cozy festival.
I just got so annoyed at the Schützenzelt. The queues go back to the emergency tents. That's about 300 to 400 meters. They're not going to get in. As a Munich local, you get so annoyed when all the tourists get here and want a table at all costs. So the first ones are here queuing up at the Schützenzelt at 4 or 3:30 in the morning. It's just mad.
On Saturdays, the 16 beer tents open at 9 in the morning. Until 3 p.m., half the seats can be had without reservations. They must be occupied immediately. After about 20 minutes, all the 90,000 seats are taken. Anyone not in by then will stay outside for the rest of the day. Wiesn job agent Josef Mate has no time for partying.
This is Marta from Wiesn Jobs.
Even during the festival, vacancies always come up for carousel brakemen, souvenir sellers, and kitchen assistants. He checks through his files of 4,000 applicants looking for the right person.
Here's Marta from Wiesn Jobs. Hello. Didn't you want to come around here yesterday or the day before? I've got a job for your friend. Tickets to the carousel.
Does he need to speak German?
His German needs to be quite good.
Well, he doesn't speak German.
Okay, in that case, no.
Okay, I don't think we'll be coming. Bye.
6?
Are they out of their minds? Deleted. No, not deleted. You know what I'm going to do now? Blacklisted.
Okay.
She called me 3 times. Hello, Herr Marta, can I have a job? I mean, seriously. You meet all sorts here, I tell you. They come and flatter you and act all sweet and cute. And then they really have the nerve to just hang up on you. Oh, haven't you got something for my friend? So you listen to it and just great.
Mate takes a flat rate of 75 euros for each job placement. But in return, he checks up on his people and makes sure everything's okay.
So I've heard you're the fastest radish washer in the entire Wiesn. Yeah? With the radishes?
Yeah.
How many radishes do you chop up every day?
2 or 3.
2 tons?
Even if the radishes are only used to decorate the afternoon snack boards, every employee is important.
There's no one here we can do without. Can't say that about anyone. Not the cleanup guy or whoever clears the plates away. Each one is important for keeping the whole thing running. Everyone has their job, and if they do it, it all works.
Behind the scenes, supplies are constantly replenished. Every morning, 5 trucks from a large bakery bring fresh pretzels to the festival site.
Nice warm pretzels. We work on the assumption of about 20 to 30,000 Wiesn pretzels on average. Roughly the same number of small pretzels and rolls, again 20 to 30,000. We make different rolls, round ones, baguette rolls, but always freshly baked.
In fact, the bakery has a number of baking stations on the festival site because pretzels have to be fresh and crispy, otherwise no one will buy them.
We supply all the tents on the right-hand side. The entire old Wiesn. And then a few smaller tents and lots of pretzel ladies, of course. And we have their stalls outside the tents.
At one of these stalls, pretzel seller Sammy Andas is filling up her basket with the extra-large Wiesn pretzels for the 5th time today.
Wiesn pretzels. Wiesn pretzels.
Sammy works on the Oidenwiesen, the Old Wiesn, a separate area where Bavarian tradition is maintained.
It's quieter and more traditional. Families can sit down, enjoy a meal. There are not as many young people who drink a bit too much. It's cozy, with Schuhplattler dances, lots of tradition, and it's fun.
Increasing numbers of locals prefer this historic part of the festival. The antique rides all cost only €1. And if you have small children, that greatly relieves the burden on the family finances.
I especially like the fact that there aren't so many people here, and the carousels don't cost as much as outside.
But real Oktoberfest madness rages outside, and Dutch tour guide Johannes will do everything to keep it that way.
Today, 350 Dutch people will be arriving. They're coming to the Oktoberfest to have fun. They've had a long journey by train overnight, and now they're ready to party.
The 350 Dutch people are well organized. They booked 35 tables 6 months ago. In most beer tents, the price of about €35 per person includes roast chicken and 2 liters of beer. You can simply use your food and beer vouchers to pay the waitress. And with a decent tip, the next beers will arrive all the faster. Joachim and Doreen come from Amsterdam. This is their first time at the Oktoberfest, and they love it.
Yeah, it's great. It's a nice party. There are a lot of people. Yeah, it's good beer, and yeah, we like it.
The Dutch couple would like to see more of the Wiesn, but there's a choice to make. Either you drink or you go outside. Every year, some 110,000 glasses are confiscated by the stewards. Joachim leaves his beer by the toilet.
We can take a beer over there. So it's over there, he's waiting for me. When I come back, I'll take my beer and drink it.
And out they go into the crowds. To sober up after the first 3 liters, a bit of fresh air is just the thing. And a ride on a carousel. Joachim and Doreen discover the Olympia looping roller coaster. It certainly looks dangerous, and that's just the way they like it.
I'm a Dutch guy and I'm afraid of nothing.
This is the biggest transportable 5-loop roller coaster in the world. Passengers are subjected to centrifugal forces of up to 5 Gs, just like a fighter pilot in his combat jet. That's exactly what Andreas Korb likes. He's the chairman of the Club for Roller Coaster Fans in Germany. Born in Munich, he's here at the Wiesn today with a few club members.
We're a group of people, and together we experience and travel to amusement parks, talk about them in our forum. We have a huge internet platform where we exchange views about construction sites, innovations, and everything to do with the world of leisure parks. And from this, a huge circle of friends has developed. Meanwhile, we've 470 members signed up and 500,000 people visiting our internet platform every month.
And with its 5 rides, the Wiesn is an El Dorado for roller coaster freaks.
You've got the so-called Hüllenblitz, the world's biggest transportable indoor roller coaster, and the Wild Mouse. The Wiesn has so much for roller coaster fans.
Even the smallest ride, the Cobra, brings short but great fun, as long as you do it voluntarily. The love for her boyfriend sent 20-year-old Anna Han on an emotional roller coaster ride.
Yes, that was relatively early on. Our first or second meeting when he said, "I've got quite an extreme hobby. I like going on roller coasters. It can take up a lot of time, and it's something you'll have to either accept or not. And now I'm here, so I must have accepted it."
I didn't quite put it like that.
More or less. The Wilde Maus is definitely not for people with a fear of heights. Shooting around the sharp turns at a height of 15 meters always makes you feel like you're about to come off the rails.
I feel much better now. I had a slight panic attack, which is quite normal, I think, when you go around those bends because you're afraid of falling out.
But there's no use complaining when you're with the coaster friends at the Oktoberfest, going on rides rightly named Höllenblitz, lightning from hell.
It's the world's biggest transportable indoor roller coaster. And the good thing is the rotating seats, or rather cabins to be precise. And you have a great roller coaster track indoors. In fact, it's basically the same thing you have outside, except it's in the dark. And that gives you an extra kick.
For Andreas Korb, riding roller coasters is a competition.
I'm currently in 7th place in the world ranking, so I've still got a bit to do. So far, I've managed 1,420 rides, but there are several thousand altogether. No one knows exactly how many. In the lead at the moment, there's an American in 1st place who's taken over 2,000 rides, so there's still plenty to do.
Andreas organizes roller coaster trips with his club to China, Japan, the USA, and many other countries. He's addicted to the kick.
You see, I was born and bred in Munich, so I grew up here, with the Wiesn. And so, of course, this is like back to the roots for me. The Wiesn is always a home game. These are my rides. It's my festival, so to speak. And so, as a Munich resident, you just catch the bug. And that's how it happened for me. Then, when you're a German, you go through the classic career. You go to Europa Park, you visit Disneyland, and either you like it or you don't. But I caught the bug really badly.
Some people take fantastic souvenirs from the Wiesn home with them. Others lose things. With a bit of luck, they might get them back from the Lost and Found office.
Which date? Yeah. Yesterday.
Yesterday, okay.
Hubertus Busch is in charge of the Lost and Found office, where over the 16 days, some 4,000 items are handed in.
When someone comes in, we first ask where they lost it and when, so we can look in the right place. Then, of course, it's important that they can describe it, so it's not just anyone who's coming in and saying, "That's my jacket." They've got to describe it properly first.
There's nothing Oktoberfest visitors don't lose. Over 700 items of clothing, 300 handbags, 40 pairs of shoes. It's quite astonishing.
Yeah, it really is astonishing. If you look at this shoe here, for example, you could assume the lady had had a long and hard way to walk. Her feet were hurting, and she took her shoes off deliberately and left them somewhere. Or perhaps she'd been dancing on the table and lost it there. You can speculate a lot, but of course, it's really surprising what people hand in here.
Over 300 smartphones, 500 purses and wallets with cash and credit cards, 400 car and apartment keys, as well as around 60 items of jewelry of very different values, and even 2 wedding rings. Oh dear.
Yeah, that opens up a lot of room for speculation. There could have been an argument, of course. Maybe it just unfortunately slipped off someone's finger. Then again, there are always stories of people who just take off their wedding rings, depending how they feel at the time, put them down somewhere, and afterwards forget where they are, or just lose them. We've had all kinds of stories here. They're always a bit funny.
And it can get even funnier. It's surprising the things people actually take along to the Wiesn, or why they don't notice they've lost them.
The most spectacular thing for me is this iron chain, with this ball in the end. There are, of course, a few explanations possible. We've wondered whether it was a stag party, perhaps, or something from the ghost train that got lost somehow. Anything's possible, but it's definitely very heavy, and the idea of even bringing it to the Oktoberfest is really extraordinary.
But what is ordinary at the Wiesn? Certainly not the parties in Käfer's Wiesenschenke. Munich's chic society, plus celebrities and wannabes from Germany and the rest of the world, all meet at this exquisite establishment.
You meet them all here, A-list to F-list celebs. And if you're lucky, there's even a chance to see someone like Boris Becker.
Or Mrs. Effenberg and her friends. Or Verena Kehrt, or Julia Siegel, or Sophie Wepper. But some of them only come here for the traditional pancake dish known as Kaiserschmarrn.
The fact is that the food here is very important. You might come here looking forward to roast chicken or a few other things, and you'll find that we have at least 2 or 3 times as much on our menu as other places.
Kaiser vor!
Chef Andreas Schinhal patrols all the various stations in his kitchen every day from 6 in the morning until 11 at night. His goal is to run the best restaurant in Bavaria for 16 days.
There are all these free-range ducks from Lower Bavaria, so logically, quality like this has to have its price.
Guests at Käfer are used to nothing but the best.
With the duck, there are no excuses accepted. It just has to work.
For every dish here, the chef issues precise recipe instructions.
This is our a la carte station. This is actually our own kitchen, complete with our own staff, and they only do the special dishes here. Filet of beef, or today we have venison liver and ox cutlets, saddle of venison. So all a la carte dishes and anything special goes out from this kitchen.
Dessert is also a serious matter for Andreas Schinhal. His Kaiserschmarrn recipe and dumpling texture are the result of weeks of meticulous work, aimed at achieving exactly the right taste.
So this is the patisserie, one of our most important stations from a historical point of view. We've been at the Wiesn for 43 years, and the patisserie has always been of great importance here for Käfer. Because of our Kaiserschmarrn. Sweet dumplings and sweet rolls. They're all well known all over the Wiesn, and especially in the afternoons. People come here for coffee just to treat themselves to one of our desserts.
And they should always be perfect.
It's important that it isn't too hard. That's a milk cream strudel, and it's important to have the nice caramelized crust on top. And above all that, the curd and milk is nice and fluffy. When a milk cream strudel is too hard, it doesn't taste right because it's too heavy. But this one here is amazing.
And no wonder. Around 30 cooks with special tasks like patisserie, chicken roaster, sauce chef, and salad maker all work together with the chef himself, preparing thousands of dishes every day. For his Wiesn team, Andreas Schinhal only uses the very best.
Oh, we've had staff from the Silvretta House and from the Palace Hotel. We used to have chefs from Austria. It's always a bit different. Usually they'll have a look at it all and then leave again. For example, this guy here was the junior chef at Silvretta in St. Moritz, weren't you? They're all different. They come from hotels, restaurants, or they're private chefs, all kinds of places. But we've also had colleagues from the Reichstag in Berlin who've come here. Yeah, our sous chef, for example. But I have to say, it really is very interesting for young cooks to be a part of something like this.
In the big tents, last orders are taken at 10:30 at night.
Take your beer and off you go.
The Wiesn Day draws to a close. The security team now have to get the 90,000 guests in the marquees to go home. The manner is friendly but firm.
So guys, as always, we have to clear the tent. Each patrol clears their own area, and remember, the beer garden patrol has to stick together. So if there's a call, only the beer garden patrol goes in. Rudy's joining the beer garden patrol tonight. If a call comes in, the doormen help in the aisles. So we've got 20 minutes. Let's go.
Not an easy task, because by now, most guests are really drunk. To get the tents cleared, the security men need to be assertive, but also very tactful. No one wants to cause any trouble. The aim is to get everyone to go home feeling good. The working day is almost over. The service staff have been carrying liter beer glasses for 13 hours and now face an hour of cleaning up.
The patrols now go to their respective areas, ask the guests there to leave the tents. They can take their glasses outside with them into the beer garden to drink up there. The guests that leave the tent on the west or north sides go directly onto the road, so they have to leave their glasses at the exit.
Or sit in the adjacent beer garden and finish them off there. At around 10 euros a glass, it would be a shame to waste the beer.
It's nice that the day's over, although it was a really quiet day today, more or less relaxed. But there's another day tomorrow. It'll be a great day too, and we're really looking forward to it. We look forward to the Wiesn every year. It's just great. Stressful, but great.
At 11 p.m., tens of thousands of revelers all want the same thing at the same time: home as fast as possible. Rather than subway or taxi, some prefer a bicycle rickshaw.
Because it's a lot cooler. It's great fun, and you're out in the fresh air.
A 10-minute rickshaw trip to the main station costs around 20 euros.
As a rule, I don't take anyone who's totally drunk. You know, you don't want to have to end up cleaning the rickshaw after they've made a mess, for example. But otherwise, everybody rides in them. Munich locals, tourists, basically everybody. Large and small, young and old.
And those who just can't get enough head to Munich's Clubland for the après-Wiesn parties, or just dance through the night on the streets, assuming they still can. And the next morning, the Oktoberfest madness starts all over again.